when there's two sides to every coin. Then there's a conversation you can join. But I'm an old dog and there's new tricks. And some of my opinions you just can't fix. 'Cause I'm an old man yelling at the sky. I'ma shake my fists at the clouds and cry. Get off my lawn, you snowflake, before I have a meltdown, breakdown, shakedown. 'Cause this is my hometown, so back down, sports clown. It's all just a game, and it's the last down, let down, cowtown. I said it's all just a game. I give the touchdown, the rundown, the lowdown. 'Cause it's over the game. Gonna crack down and shut down the sundown. I said it's all just a game.
Hi, kids. Welcome to the program. It's a Friday edition of Just a Game. It's Rob and Craig with you, your drive time friends. This is what I thought it was always going to be. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
I always, well, by always, I mean back when you were still playing.
You and me together?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
I thought it was going to be an afternoon show. And then we would, just to build off what we were just talking about, and then we'd give grades to everybody.
Yeah,
right?
Everybody grades.
Everybody grades, so everybody gets a grade.
Exactly.
He is Craig Conroy. He's got a new job. I have to. Well, okay. First of all, it's general manager. Is it just general manager? Did you get another one?
No, just general manager.
Okay, so you didn't get, assistant pizza maker or nothing like that tagged in there because
Not
hockey's
that I know
different
of.
now.
Well, there are a lot of titles. Titles are a big thing, and
Yeah.
the more you have, I guess, the better it is. I don't know.
I don't know because you started your first hockey title was special assistant or special advisor.
Special assistant to the acting general manager, Jay Feast.
That's what it was.
That was all on my card.
To the acting.
To the acting general
That's right.
manager. And then when he became general manager,
You could drop the acting.
they switched a lot of new cards.
Have you kept all your cards? Do you have all
I
your
think
cards?
I have all. Yeah, I have.
You
all
have
of
a
them.
version of all your
I
cards?
do have a version so far. Yeah.
Welcome to Just a Game on a Friday. He is Craig Conroy, the general manager of the Calgary Flames, kind enough to join us live in the Oodle Noodle studio. We are a inclusive podcast. Everybody's welcome here. We are an ally for all. We're also broadcasting from Treaty 7 territory here in Calgary. And I should mention, have you ever skied? You grew up in ski country in the States, right? Like did you ski in?
Yeah,
when you were
those are hills compared to the.
Well, yeah, I know
mountains out
that.
here.
No,
I did. Yeah, I did ski. When I went to Northwood, we could go Whiteface Mountains where they had the 80 Olympics.
Yeah.
We had a deal for $5 a day. You could go over and ski. So I used to ski quite a bit. And then obviously once I went to college, I think I quit.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, a little. Yeah. It was just you get busy. And then when you go to the NHL, American League, NHL, I just thought, I better not take any chances with my knees here. But I loved it.
That's an interesting point. Now, post hockey, have you gone to the mountains here?
I think I'm afraid of these mountains. They're
Why?
like, I don't know. I haven't, you know what? To be fair, I think I should go and do it. I haven't done it, but my one knee has been a little acting up. My left knee, I was playing catch and I was running and I fell into a hole and I hurt my knee.
Where were you running?
It was in a field. I was in a field.
You were just out in a field running and you ran into a gopher hole?
I have to try to make the great catch.
Yeah,
I just
okay.
couldn't let the ball go.
No.
So yeah, I ran into a little hole and I caught myself, but probably by catching myself, I hurt my knee a little bit. It's actually feeling better now though.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel sympathetic for you. Listen, if you ever think about skiing or snowboarding, let me know because, of course, Ski Cellar Snowboard sponsors our guests, skicellarsnowboard.com. Now, they're not open now, Craig. I know you're saying to yourself, but Rob, I want to go after this show. They have 4 stores in Calgary, but not open in the summer. They'll reopen in the fall.
They have one right in Crowchild, don't they?
Yes, they do.
I drive by that often.
Yes, they do.
And they have
McLeod.
Sales. They have sales.
They have sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should pull in when I see the sale.
And have you heard about snow skating?
No, I have not heard.
Yeah,
about
so
that.
now you can kind of skate down the mountain.
Really?
Yes.
Like
Yes, I know. And Neil from
I'm gonna have to Google it when I leave.
well, if you go to the website, if you go to skisellersnowboard.com, you can go and see the videos, the YouTube videos. It's exactly what it is. Yes,
That's amazing.
it is. How are you? How you doing? Are you busy? Are you just hanging around? What's going on?
No, it's been busy. I mean, I think getting staffing done with Mitch leaving, getting Trent Call in. It's been nonstop kind of hiring people. We just, you're always trying to add more people and find the right people for positions. So to have Trent done now was nice,
Okay.
It kind of fills out the staffs. It's amazing. I guess from behind the scenes, you don't really know all the things that are going on as your assistant general manager. How many interview process to go through all that. And
what do you mean you didn't know? I mean, you would have seen it, right?
Yeah, but Brad kind of did it. You close your door and you do Zoom calls, you're on phone calls, you do all that.
Okay.
So you don't see how many people you're talking to behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I wasn't in that process of hiring the coaches and going through the process. Kind of Brad did that himself. So, I think we did a little bit differently this time. I had the everybody in the office in there and we all listen, so then we could all talk about it afterwards and kind of figure out what we liked about the candidates, what we didn't, what strength, weaknesses, and, did it more as a team maybe.
Is that a result of you going through hiring with Jay Feaster and hiring with, Brad Treliving? You were interviewed by Buffalo at one point. Is this the cue? When you did it, was it kind of, well, I like this, I didn't like this, and so this is how I want to do it? Was it based on your experiences?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and you want people to feel ownership too in the office, like feel a part of the process, feel a part of making big decisions.
Yeah.
So then we can all be on the same page moving forward. So nobody can say, well, I didn't like that guy. I never met him. I didn't talk to him. I think just to all be on not that we're on the same page. We all had different ideas of each person that we interviewed and then went through the process. But, it was even with Trent, there were some great candidates and there were some younger ones that we really liked. And, I think after having Mitch in there, and Mitch did an amazing job. And then, Mitch gets the opportunity in Washington. And I think we just kind of went back and forth and said, okay, what are we looking for this time? And Trent just had that experience a little bit more than the other guys. And I think that's what pushed him to the top, but we would have been fortunate to hire any of them. I think it's great for the league. Hopefully some of these younger coaches coming up get more of a chance because, they're ready.
I want to ask you a question. Last couple of months, I have campaigned. Clearly, you don't watch the program, or you would have known. But I campaigned rather hard for Carla McLeod. I thought Carla McLeod should get an opportunity. She's done some great work with Czechia. Was all out there in the open. Craig, are we getting closer and closer to maybe? I mean, I know we have assistants, but are we getting closer and closer to maybe seeing a woman as a head coach in men's professional hockey?
I think you're gonna see it. I mean, it's for them to be assistants first, to get kind of that recognition and come in and being head coaches in different places. Would it be probably maybe at the American League level first? I would say probably. What
about Major Junior? Or Junior A?
Yeah. Major. I mean, I guess I was thinking about
I said professional hockey, but to me, it kind of reminds me of Sandra Persina, for instance.
Yeah.
Sandra's the voice of the Wranglers, female voice of the Wranglers. You kind of have to come up through the system. I don't think it does anybody any good if we just take somebody and put them right in the top league and go, there they are, look what we've done. They need to get the seat time. They need to get. So is the next step is getting them into junior hockey or college hockey and working them through that way? Is that the correct way to go about this, you think, or a way to go about this?
I bet you that's probably the logical way, the smart way.
Yeah.
Because when you want people to get those top jobs, you want to be ready for that top job. And if whoever the first woman is in that top job, you want her to have success. And then it just leads to more women opening that door. If she just got thrown in right away and it didn't go well, failed experiment, does that set it way, way back? It might.
I hope not.
Yeah. But you know how,
you would be open to that conversation. What would the criteria be for you? Like you'd want to know the dressing room and you'd want to know the success, right?
I always wondered, I always have been curious how it works with the male coaches with the females, because it is, that dynamics down in the room,
Sure.
the shower areas, they're not all closed off.
Yeah.
How that works, where they can go in, when they can go. Those are the little questions that I guess I'm always asking myself. How does it, and I'm even thinking the other way. How did the men do it with the women?
Yep.
How does it work and flow? And those are just things that I guess, because I haven't seen it, those are things I'd like to see how it kind of worked.
I think the statute of limitations has run out. I hope I'm not going to get you in any trouble. Your first coaching search was with Jay Feaster when he hired Bob Hartley, right?
Yes.
And you talked to a young coach in Syracuse in the American Hockey League, did you not?
Yeah. John Cooper.
John Cooper, right?
Yeah. That was, well, we all got to bring one. You got to bring a list of names.
Yeah.
I just started, so I didn't really have a list of names. I wish I could take actual credit for John Cooper, but Al McInnes and Kelly Chase were the ones that kind of said, hey, this John Cooper, you would be doing a disservice to yourself if you did not go look and kind of.
Yeah. And he was in the American Hockey League.
He was in the American Hockey League. And I went back and I kind of did. He started in St. Louis and where Chaser's team was. And then, watching what he did in the USHL, and now he's in the American Hockey League.
Yeah.
And then you could kind of look at his YouTubes and listen to some of his interviews. I mean, very intelligent, very smart. And he just had a different way about him. So that was the name I got to bring to Jay, that John Cooper. And actually Steve Yzerman gave permission to talk to him. So we were going to talk to him. He said, we just need to wait till the AHL playoffs are over. Of course, that year he went all the way to the finals and won. And we had hired, in the meantime, Bob. Yeah. It got to be a little bit of was Bob going to go to Montreal?
There was some pressure, right?
There was pressure.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it worked. But yeah, it was funny because I talked to John last year about Blake Coleman. I was doing a thing with Blake Coleman the year before, and I said, do you remember? It all worked out great for you, but do you remember? He goes, no, Craig, I remember. So it was, it's just a small world, this hockey world, but yeah, to see how well he did. And I wish I could take all the credit, but yeah, Chaser now, they gave me they pointed me in the right direction, but that's what people do in hockey world.
I was just going to say, that's a little insight into this, right? Yeah. Like you really do have connections. You really do, or not connections, but you use your connections, right? You listen.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you know what? You don't know everybody. You don't know. And if someone that you trust, Al McInnes would never tell me anything, or Kelly Chase. I mean, we played together a long time. If they told me something, I believe them.
Yep.
I would have no reason to doubt him. And I didn't doubt him in that situation. I just went and kind of doing my homework, watching clips, looking to the records, seeing him winning everywhere was amazing. So, and the personality, everything I heard about him, when you talk to people that work with him, they loved him. Talked to some players that had him, said he has a different way about him, how he coaches. So all those were the reasons I thought, okay, Jay, this is the guy I want. Who? John Cooper? And then now hindsight, would have been a great hire too, but Bob did a great job when he was here.
No, and I don't mean this the way it's going to sound. I hope you take it the way it is. But was Bob fait accompli? Did Jay have it in his mind that this is the guy he wants? Because if you remember, he was always connected to Jay, right? Because they worked in Hershey, right?
Yeah. I think Jay felt very comfortable with Bob, and what Bob was trying to do and instill, Jay,
he was at the top of the list.
Jay knew it. Yeah. Jay felt very comfortable, knew him. And I thought Bob did an amazing job when he was here. I mean, it's when you're behind the scenes to work with Bob, he's a heck of a coach.
He's a handful.
Yeah. Oh, he's a handful, but you know what? Great with the media.
Oh, no, absolutely. But if you think about it, at that point, you had two coaches at the two levels that could not have been more different. Right? In Hartley and Troy Ward in Abbotsford.
Yeah, for sure.
Could you have had polar opposite coaches?
Probably not. And it didn't always flow as well as you would like, maybe because of that. But you know what? They still did their professionals. They did their job.
Sure they did.
But they had different ideas how one used one kind of language, one used a different kind of language.
One invented his own language. I mean, I love Troy, but he invented, right?
Yep.
Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator.
Yeah. And it's funny how different coaches just want different things. Instead of power play, penalty kill, 5-4, 4-5. It's little things like that.
Yeah. But how much did that influence you? How much now? you've just gone through a bunch of hiring, right? You've hired 2 different coaches at 2 different levels.
Yeah.
How much of that coming out and getting right in as the special advisor to the temporary? No, what's the term?
Acting
general
the
manager.
actor general manager.
How much of that stuff influences you?
It was, you take all the learning experience, the good and bad, where you think maybe, because hindsight, you can look, did we do everything we could? Did we interview enough people? Did we not interview enough people? Did we miss anybody? Is there someone else we can, who's the best person for the job? What type of person are we looking for to bring into the,
right?
And I think it was funny because I was thinking about it the other day, and I was talking to a former GM in Mike Smith. We were at a thing in New York, and we were talking.
Oh, Mike, yes, right. Not Mike Smith, the goalie.
Yeah, not Mike Smith, the goalie, but
yeah.
So we were just talking, and he made a good point. He's like, the culture that we had in Calgary, it's not so much the culture, I think, because what Daryl wanted to do here, but maybe it's the environment at the rink is what we need to change.
Sure.
In my mind, it was the environment that people want to come to the rink, be excited to come to the rink and have some fun. And that's different because kind of the culture Daryl wanted, I do want that same culture. We are here to work hard, get better every day. And that part.
Don't you think it's funny? We made the offhanded joke about, we're going to give you a grade. Man, context is something, isn't it? Like it's easy to do a headline. It's easy to say something, but you really need the context of the situation.
Yeah. There's always more to every situation. That it's not just black and white, and it's not as easy as people. This is what you should do, or that. I wish it was that easy, but you're trying to build something, and you do think, and I thought, I don't know if I really want to. It's not really the culture of how we want to be as a team. It's just the environment that we want to bring these guys into on a daily basis is what we're trying to change more so than because Daryl did a lot of good things. I mean, I really enjoyed Daryl as a coach, and I think he's a heck of a coach, but
he's an enigma.
Yeah. I mean, it's just everyone's different. It's a different way to do it. I felt comfortable with that type of coach. I had lots of coaches like that. Joe Quenneville, maybe not quite to the same, but
not that far off.
No, they have a way about doing things, and
Iron Mike.
Yeah. And Iron Mike was, I really enjoyed Mike. I know a lot of people would be hard on Mike. I love my time here with Mike. One of my favorite coaches.
Didn't you had him in St. Louis too?
Yeah. In St. Louis, you know what? I was younger. I think he was better to me, or I related easier, better to him as a
veteran player.
Yeah. So he was great as a young player. And he was coaching in GM, and it was intimidating.
Yeah.
He was intimidating, but when the second go around, I love Mike. I can't thank him enough for what he did for me in my career.
Let's go back. I do want to ask you about both your coaches, but let's stay with Trent Cull for a second. When did he get on your radar? How did he get onto your radar?
Brad Pascal. I mean, I think a lot of it when he was in Utica.
Yeah.
It's funny because we're always kind of, when we ask the scouts, which coach really has the team play the right way? Who seem, not that we're looking for coaches all the time, but if there's a coach that catches your eye and has done a good job. And then I think with Trent going into Abbotsford, we got to see him more, obviously. Okay. So, you're watching him, you like how his team played, the discipline, you watch the bench demeanor, you're always kind of paying attention.
Did you ever get a chance to interact with him? Is there
no,
there really isn't that opportunity, is there?
No. So you just talk to other people that know him. So you get it secondhand, that part. So then to see him go up to the Vancouver and, him when Bruce kind of got let go, it was a name that was, I wonder if he'd have some interest in coming. So, I mean, Brad Pascal did a heck of a job. He had a long list again and went through a lengthy process. And he kind of did the first part.
Right.
And then when he got down to a smaller group where he felt comfortable, then everyone else got involved.
Mitch Love makes his decision. He goes to Washington. Do you recruit people like Trent Cull, or do they call? How many out of the blue connections did you get from coaches that want to make sure they're interested?
Yeah, lots of emails, calls, text messages. And that's what kind of length makes the list bigger. And you're watching junior, for us, we're watching junior teams that are doing really well, talking to play, the list was really long, and I think it's better to go through. And you know what? Some of the guys that we talked to, family situations, it wasn't the right time in their life. They weren't ready to make the move. So they're quickly they're out. But you want to make sure you at least talk to them and see what the interest level is. And some were, it's weird. You would think most people would want to interview, but even at the NHL level, some guys just said, I'm in a great situation with my family, with where I'm at. If it was a different time, I would love to interview for the job, but not right now.
Well, who gets your attention now that you've done this unsolicited? Mitch Love leaves. Rob Kerr decides, I want to coach the Calgary Wranglers. Should I call you? Should I email you a plan? Do you want to see videos? How do I get your attention?
It'd be nice if you were coaching somewhere.
Okay, so that's a good place to start.
A good place if you're coaching. Okay. And I can go watch how your team plays and see what you like. And then they do give you a plan. They give you their philosophies on, how they think. The one thing, it's amazing, I think, because we had a little bit of a disconnect. We talked earlier.
Yeah.
American League, NHL, maybe we played a little bit different styles.
Yeah. Now we're talking about Abbotsford, Calgary a decade ago. That's what we're talking about.
12 years ago.
Yeah.
So we really want to focus now more on playing the same systems.
Yeah.
Our coaches okay with playing the NHL coaches system. And they really are well-versed now. I mean, they come in and they say, hey, we know what it is. It's development. It's to get guys to the NHL to help the Calgary Flames win games. So I do think when you look at that now, it was a little bit different when I first started. They might want to play their own systems, use their own language, but it was a little confusing to a guy like Granlund when he was here. English not his first language.
Yeah.
So to hear the DOP and Fonzes and to see all the writing on the boards, if they were just 4 letters, 3 letters, FONZ was Fonz, and that's face off in the neutral zone. That's a little hard for a European to kind of
acclimatize to.
They get used to it. You get a sheet. I got a sheet too when I saw Troy. Very smart, did a great job for us. But it is a different way of doing it as compared to someone else.
Is that a college format, do you think? Or a development team is a different animal altogether, right? Because the job is to get you from here to there, as opposed to winning a championship. Championships are nice, right? Is that more of a
championship's a bonus? Even when Bob came in, he said they won a championship in Hershey. That was the bonus.
Right. Right.
Look,
Yeah.
Pierre Lacroix said, I'm so happy you won, but it's the developing for the NHL and us winning a Stanley Cup is what the real key is, Bob. So, it's probably the one, even in junior, you're there to win a championship. You're probably there to win championships in every other thing. You want to win a championship. You want them to have that experience in the playoffs, but it's also to make sure they're ready to play in the NHL. And that's, is it easier to put out a veteran guy to take a big face off at the end of the game, or put the rookie to give him that experience? It's not easy. I mean, I remember we're talking to Huska when he was down there, he would do it. We might lose the game sometimes, or we might, the kids, but that was the role.
That was the role.
The job. So
Rob Kerr calls you, the Wranglers are now open. Mitch Love is gone. And I say to you, Craig, you need me because I'll get you where Mitch Love didn't get you. Does anybody take that tact? Are people confident enough to come in and go, yeah, he was a good coach, AHL coach of the year 2 years in a row, but he didn't win, and I'll win. Are people that confident, or are they more respectful?
No, they're confident. They're confident, but they don't. Yeah, not that tact. Mitch has left.
Yes,
he did a great job.
Yes.
I think I can continue that job is kind of the way they,
but nobody tries to come in and
no, they're I think the thing about hockey players is the cliches. We wouldn't be throwing people we're not throwing people under the bus as a whole. Every now and then you get pissed off and you might say something, but for the whole, we try to protect each other, good or bad, but so I think they come in and said, hey, he did a great job. I think I can continue this moving forward.
Does Trent decide, or do you and Brad decide that you're going to keep the assistants? Because there's continuity there, right?
They were under contract, first of all.
Okay.
But Trent was happy. Obviously, he said they know the players. It's easier. It's an easier transition for Trent, he said, having the assistants, and I think he has familiarity with both guys. So that makes a difference too. I mean, when you know people already. And I do think I don't interact with the coaches, but coaches interact with each other.
What do you mean you don't interact with
So like
coaches?
as a GM, like if I go to a game, I don't really run into the other team's coaches.
Oh, yes.
but-
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
So they,
Yeah. I thought you meant your own team.
oh no,
Yeah.
my team I do,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like the other team's coaches, if
Okay.
we were going to Abbotsford, I'm
Yeah.
not talking to Berkey used to though.
He has no problem telling that, right?
Yeah, he did. Like I used to go, sometimes I felt like, for me personally, like I felt like maybe we were in their way. They're getting ready for their meetings. Are we in their way? They seem to like it because maybe it was Berkey.
Yeah.
So I don't do,
Well,
but
he
that's something
famously
Berkey
tells that
likes.
story, right? Like I get there 2 hours ahead
Yeah.
and I go visit the coaches.
We've been there before. We were in Barrie for a game. We got there pretty early because, traffic in Toronto. So we got there pretty early, Berkey and I. We went to go out. They weren't there. Neither team was there. I'm like, Berkey,
You're there
So-
before the
we just sat in the lobby for a while till the first coaches showed up. I was like, we're really early, Berkey. you know?
All right.
But they seemed, they did really enjoy Brian, and he's so engaging. And then we would, Brian would send a handwritten note to him thanking him. Yeah, it was good. It's good. It's just, I feel like for me personally, I'm in their way. They have a routine, but maybe I should do that. I don't know.
I'll come to influences in a sec. Okay, so that's one, but that's the second coach. Trent's the second coach you hired. You hired Ryan Huska. And you talked about that. I'm not, I don't really want to, I'm more curious about the process. Were you concerned about inheriting a coach, Craig? Would you have been, and I know Daryl and you like Daryl, we both like Daryl, but you've been longing for a general manager's position. Was that a concern that your first position you would inherit a coach?
That's a good question. I mean, I guess Daryl and I do have a good relationship.
Yep.
Daryl's going to do what Daryl wants to do. So would we be able to collaborate and work together the way I would like to? Probably not.
Okay.
If I'm going to be totally honest,
Yeah.
But Daryl's very good at what he does. Like I've said earlier,
Again, yeah.
it's just the way he goes about it, and he's been a GM. But I think we could have worked together. We could have went and had players, and we could sit and have, at lunch and dinner, and we would be totally fine. So if it was Daryl, if Daryl had stayed, I would have had I don't think I would have had a problem. I probably wouldn't have the same.
Did the job change when Daryl left?
No, I don't think,
You still want, I mean, not that you didn't want it. I don't want to say that, but all of a sudden do you go, okay, hold on now a sec.
I do think it lets me bring in a person that I feel comfortable. We have, I had an idea what I wanted to change.
Yeah.
When I sat up and watched the practice, when I sat and watched the games, when I, the little things that kind of, I was hoping to change during the year, 3-on-3. I would have loved to seen us practice 3-on-3. Just get some continuity with who plays well in those situations together. The power play, if we would have done a little bit more practice in the power play, because when we switched the units during the year, I thought we had a hard time getting in the zone.
Yeah.
Would have liked to seen us do more things
work on
like
that.
Yeah. Trying to figure out the lines, like those are little things, but that's what Daryl's the coach. So we let him do it. Those are things I would have liked to seen us do more of, but in the end.
So how does that influence you now then? If that's how you would like to do it, are those the parameters that you have now given your coaches? Look, you coach, but this is where we need to be,
to every coach we interviewed. How do you want to react with me on a daily basis?
Okay.
How do you want to react with me? What's our protocol after games?
Any strange reactions to that question?
No. So no. And there's no right or wrong answer. I know what I would like to do, but there's no right or wrong answer. I mean, some coaches said to me, Craig, I'd rather not have you come down after a game. Their emotions run high.
And you're okay with that?
And I would be okay with that.
Okay.
So, some people want us down. Bob Hartley wanted us down there.
Yeah.
He
wants the eyes,
What
right?
did you see from above? Is there anything we missed down below? Are we doing anything?
Yeah.
Give me your top 3 players of the night. Like, so Bob wanted that.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. I'm not going down there to yell and scream if we win or lose the game. Like, maybe we don't say anything, but maybe I can just hear what they're saying, good or bad. Who are they happy with? Who didn't they like? And I'm thinking, okay, I agree or disagree. Like, we don't have to talk about it at night, but that was one of the things.
Cool.
How much are you going to work on the power play? How do you structure your practices?
Yeah.
How do you want to do travel? There's all those things you want to make sure you ask everyone the questions. And,
But you didn't need them to give you the right answers, right? You just needed to know what the answers were.
Yes. How this would work with me and you moving forward.
Right.
And like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. I think the one thing that I was excited that Ryan said is in the D zone, we were playing more man-to-man this year. I had a hard time as a center playing man-to-man. I don't like when the D go all the way up to the blue line and I'm stuck down in front of the net.
Yeah.
And you saw grade A chances after grade A chances. If it broke down,
that's why
I felt like there was a big, you see the guy in the slot all by himself.
Yeah.
When you had a breakdown in man-to-man, I felt like that was concerning. When you watch Vegas, I don't know if you watched, that's how we played in 04, how we cycle back.
Yes.
We released the guy,
the
D were released at this type thing is what I feel comfortable with. And the same way that's what we did in St. Louis.
In fairness, in 04, you were also allowed to grab him.
Yes, you could, but I think it's more,
but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's how you would like,
that's how I would like to do it. And I think Ryan felt very similar. Some coaches wanted to play man-to-man, which is totally fine too. Just in my mind,
you just want to know
to have the most success. Would I want to play man-to-man or would I want to go more of a zone, if you want to call it?
You've been with his organization mostly for over 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that and I never said anything to you, but now that it's all done, I don't ever remember a team with as many possible internal candidates for a head coaching position. Because the name that never got brought up is Cale McLean, but he can't be that far off from being a candidate, can he?
He's done a great job. I mean, the work ethic that Cale has, what he's done in hockey, it's true. With Kirk Muller being there, with Cale, with Mitch doing what Mitch did.
Did that complicate it?
It made it harder, actually.
Yeah.
If you had one person it does make it harder.
Yeah.
Because honestly, we're all competitive and everyone would have wanted to be the head coach of the Calgary Flames. They all wanted it.
Kirk Muller could have been.
Kirk Muller could have been. Exactly.
Right?
Kirk just got the wash.
Yeah.
I mean, Kirk Muller could have come back, but in the end, I thought we probably,
you get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That could Mitch Love have come back? I mean, I know you guys would have let him, but did he not almost have to go? And then next, 5 years, 10 years down the road, maybe you hire him.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I think when I talked to Mitch, the only thing when I talked to Mitch had the confidence to do the job. Mitch is a very good coach.
Sure he is.
But when I said, well, how do you deal with the travel and the NHL ranks and this and the NHL players? Now you're dealing with people that are, I think if now then the role he has as an assistant coach in the NHL to see all of this, to kind of go in and experience the travel, experience everything, it's going to be great for Mitch. And I want nothing but the best for Mitch. I mean, and you never know. I mean, it's a small little hockey world.
Well, that's exactly it.
So right? But Mitch has done an amazing job for us. Would it have been hard for him to do it here? It might have been, because I think he believed he was the head coach of the Calgary Flames.
Do you, Brad and Tree, deserve some credit for the coaching in the organization the last couple of years to have been in that position? Because in fairness to Ryan Huska, while he didn't have necessarily the awards, he certainly had the same kind of acclaim coming up here. Same thing with Cale McLean. These guys were being rewarded for the work that they were doing, right? Like, the last couple of years, you can say a lot about this organization, but you've had good coaches in the system.
I mean, I think that's why a lot of people like the opportunity to coach the Wranglers, because they're seeing a path, and like most of them, it's the NHL is as a player, that's where you want to go. As a coach, that's where you want to go. So I do think that was a big positive. And I give Brad Pascal a lot of credit. I mean, he goes through a lengthy process and goes through, and, he did a great job finding Mitch. I mean, there was so many good candidates that year. Mitch hadn't been coaching a long time in the Western Hockey League as a head coach. Yeah. Did a good job. He came in and did an amazing job for us. And, and we believe Trent's going to do the same thing for us here.
Yeah. Any wild cards, anything that was interesting about the external candidates for the head coaching job before you, landed on Ryan?
Again, I mean, I think when you see what other teams are doing, I mean, it's a little bit, I can see why teams are a little leery about having people interview with multiple teams, but to hear what other teams are doing, I think that was an eye opener as far as, but to see the amount of good quality coaches that haven't been head coaches in the NHL, or maybe just had their first chance and looking for that second chance. I do think there's so many good coaches, and I think that's what's exciting for the league. If teams are willing to get it instead of recycling someone, I think people are going to be
Is
surprised.
that the right word?
I think it is. I don't know if recycling is, or
see, here's the other one.
Experience. They want more experience.
But the context again, you need, Daryl's a hard ass, so you got to have a player's coach, right? Ryan Huska's a player's coach. Oh, the next coach got to be a hard ass, or recycling and stuff like that. Is that actually a thing? Or is that a narrative? Is that an easy way of describing the need for change?
You're probably right. It's if Glenn Gulletson was here, he's too nice to the players. If, it's all, yes, it is an easy, is it a little bit of a cop out? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think everybody's looking at something different. What kind of team do I have?
Yeah.
What type of coach do I have?
Yep.
A veteran coach. You kind of know what you're getting with a veteran coach.
What?
Yep. There's probably a shelf life with a veteran coach. What does your team need at that time? And I just thought at this time, Ryan's first opportunity, but he's been working to this opportunity, and he did a great job for us, did a great job in Kelowna. I think what we're looking for, he checks off all those boxes. The thing is, does he have the presence in the room? People might wonder. That was one of the things. Do you feel like he does. I've seen it in the American League. As a head coach, I've seen it. As an assistant coach, you don't have the same, but he's got that good thing. If you talk to, probably the one person that I thought when I talked to some of the players just to ask him about Ryan was Rasmus Anderson. If you ever talk to Rasmus, they did not get along the first year. But Ryan, if you want to get to the NHL, this is what you need to do. And it was uncomfortable every day. And he stayed on him. And Rasmus needed to get in better shape. Rasmus needed to play better in certain areas. He's good with the puck. He did what he did well. He did really well. What he didn't do well, he didn't want to work at. Yeah. And Ryan forced him to work at that, where it's not fun to work on things you're bad at. But the second year.
That's not uncommon, is it?
No, it's not.
TJ Brody went through that.
Yes.
Right. That's what Troy Ward always told me, that it was never about teaching him how to be a defenseman. It was about teaching him how to be a pro, right? How to make his bed, how to buy groceries, how to be away from a billet.
Absolutely.
You told me those things about, you probably don't remember this, but we sat in the hotel in Fort Lauderdale. You told me those things about Rasmus Anderson before you drafted him. You were aware of those things. Oh,
that's why he went in the second round.
Right.
Players aren't perfect.
How did you get graded on that draft? Oh, forget it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully better now.
Yeah, better now.
Shillington, Rasmus. Not having a first round pick. Those are the things, and some player, and you give the player credit. Mm-hmm. He did all the work. Yeah. What people don't know, when Rasmus was here his first year and we'd come home from a road trip and obviously the office, we'd come to the office, and Rasmus would come down and do an extra workout and do more. And he was working to become a better player.
And is that Huska?
I think that was what Huska brought to him.
Not specifically, Craig, but he didn't say, when we get off the road, go.
Yeah.
But he built the environment. He made it so that the understanding that Rasmus knew that he had to do these things.
Yes. Yeah. Because that first year that was so uncomfortable, to have the success he had the second year, and now he's in the NHL. He's like, okay, Ryan's right. I have to do this stuff. I don't want to do this. Like, he probably wanted, we were tired. We probably wanted to go home after that road trip. And, you're on the road 5-6 days. I can't remember how long, for me to go to the office and do a little something is not a big deal, but to see him come in too and go down, and I went down to see what he was doing. He was riding the bike and he was doing a little workout. Yep. So those are the things that he did extra to make himself a pro, and his game, but he continues to do that today. He hasn't taken his foot out. Okay, I've made it. I'm good. No, he's trying to get better every day.
Did you learn anything new about Ryan Huska in the interview process?
Well, it's funny because, like I said, if we're talking D zone, how we change things up, different scenarios, player usage.
I gather Ryan's not coming to you in the middle of last year going, geez, Craig,
No.
this is what I would do.
Yeah. But when you listen to what he said, he
Yeah.
wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah.
Whatever happened in the coach's room happened in the coach's room.
Yeah.
But just his ideas and his philosophies, I think that's kind of where we were in sync. I thought, oh, I feel the same way. And you don't know, his thing was saying, hey, we did it like this. Daryl wanted to do it. And Daryl was the head coach. We did it like this. I would like to do it like this. And that's how he worded it.
When I got my dream job in 2011 and I started calling games at Sportsnet, I had a bit of Peter Marr. I had a little bit of Danny Gallivan. I had all these pieces. Who are the pieces in you as a general manager? Who influenced you as a general manager?
I think you look at it, you're kind of stealing what you like from everybody.
Yeah.
What Jay did well.
Yeah. What did Jay do well? And I don't mean it that way, but you know what I mean? When you say that.
I think he ran the office really well. Like his attention to detail in the office, I think being a lawyer,
yeah. Okay.
The way he managed people, the way he dealt with things.
Yeah.
He was very thorough and thought out.
Yeah.
And he really didn't do anything. He did a really nice job, I thought, of letting the scouts make the picks. He was not getting involved with that. He was letting them do that. The way he managed people, I thought he empowered everybody and he let them do their job. So I did think that was, that's where Jay's a real strength was, and a good communicator.
Yep.
But I think that came from his background and where he's won a Stanley Cup. He's won in the American League. So those are really his strength.
Is it safe to, am I wrong in saying it this way? Jay also knew what he didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't profess to be the greatest hockey knowledge of everything, of players, of reading how to, scouting, but he knew how to put it all together. Yeah. That's what he did well.
Tree? Is there bits of Tree in you?
Tree, what I give, I think Tree, what I learned about Tree is he had a great pulse on what was going on out there as far as
how much, talking. How is that overblown? Because he became, the Elliot Friedmans and the Chris Johnsons of the world said, oh, no, no, he's in on everything.
He was in on a lot. We were in on a lot for sure. I think, but he just called people. He talked to a lot of people. And I think you have to do that, because I noticed he would call more than his phone was ringing.
He was outbound more than inbound.
Yeah, probably outbound more than inbound.
Okay.
Berkey was a mixture.
Yeah. How much did you learn from Berkey?
Oh, Berkey was great. Berkey,
he loves you, eh?
Berkey's awesome. I love Berkey. He would say, Connie, like, you should go with your scouts for a couple games. If you're out east, like, go with your scouts, watch them watch a game with you, be around them. The way he dealt with people, the way he brought everybody in the staff together, unbelievable. And how he made you feel part of it, whether it's going to have a pizza over at his house after a long day. Hey, come on over here, guys, have a pizza. Like, all of us, like, things like that go a long ways.
He's a special human being. And we just did Targets for Kids last. The guy hasn't been in Calgary in 4 years.
Yeah.
So he's now come from out of town to Calgary to host this event more than he did it when he was here. But he loves it.
What he gives back to the community. I mean, and the one thing he said when he came in, he said, hey, my big thing has been charity. The one thing when he got here, though, he said the Calgary Flames do charity.
Yeah.
As well as anybody I've ever seen. So, and I said, that's one thing about Calgary. They give back more than any city I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
Any charity event I've ever been to.
Wow.
But Berkey doing what he does, and it means so much.
You're in that same category too, though.
Well, thank you, Rob. So are you.
We both are.
But to give back the way Berkey does and still come back and want to be a part of it. And I got a picture of him. He went out. I couldn't go out to dinner with him the night before, but the people that were with him took a picture. He had the Flames.
Oh,
yeah. Like
I don't know how to describe him to people, but he tells a story about leaving a note for the next GM. You mentioned handwritten notes to the coaches when they're scouting. Like, it's all of these little things. I asked him about you, eh?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I said, how do you think Craig will do? And he said, he has the one thing that I never had as a GM. And I said, what's that? He said, people love him. They liked me. they love you. He said,
I don't know if that's good or bad.
He said, that's a unique trait for a general manager. You know, Kent goes into Montreal. He's the new guy, right? Like you're in such a unique position coming in, and Berkey loves it. Like he's just, you know, he's proud. He is. I'm sure he's told you.
Yeah.
But, who else did you? I mean, Daryl's a general manager. Did you learn much from him?
No, not really. No, nothing from Daryl. Having Al McNeil here as senior advisor.
Thank you. Okay.
Amazing.
Tell me about Chopper.
So for him to win and be with the Montreal Canadiens and
the Montreal
Canadiens when
the
they were
Montreal
to try to, you know, I listen to everything Al says. I mean, from what has he been saying here for the last, well, as long as he's been here, as long as I've been on this side, we need to get bigger, Craig. We need to get bigger and we need to be harder to play against. I mean, he's got a way of what he's had success. He's won at every level. He's won Stanley Cups. He's done it all.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
like he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree. I can't agree more. I mean, so to sit down and just hear what they did in Montreal, you know, Ron Caron when he was there, just all the greats, and to hear how they went about their business and how they, when they're looking at trades, how they drafted, how they traveled, how they did, you know, I know it was a long time ago, but you're taking what you like. Oh, that's a great idea. This is a great idea. Ooh, I haven't heard of that. I want to steal that idea from Chopper. You know, he's forgot more than I know about hockey. So, you know, people would want to he's an old, no.
When Guy Lafleur passed away, I passed him in the hallway in the office and I just said, hey, that was hard to hear about Guy Lafleur. And the next 10 minutes, he told me stuff I never heard before. No idea. Sharp as a tack.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's amazing, you know, and just how they handle different situations, you know, in Montreal, behind the scenes.
Anybody outside of sport influence you as a general manager?
It's funny because, you know, when you just read books and I don't know if they influence you, but you know, I just like to read all the books.
Do you read a lot?
I do.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe more
nonfiction or fiction.
Sometimes I need some fiction.
Yeah, I get that. No, I get that. Yeah.
But then like autobiographies and, you know, I was, you know, and then
you ever read Patton's biography?
No, I've not.
I highly recommend it to people because it's about failure and how he failed and why he failed and how he came back from it. And to me, you know, where I live with the youth sports and stuff like that. And I think failures is so important, right? As a learning tool. It's a really, if the movie, even you can get a little out of that, but it's about failure.
I mean, that's good. I'll have to, you know what? I'm always
I can't just have you come in here and not get anything.
I was thinking the last book I read was 3 Ring Circus. I just told Jerome. So it was kind of talking about Kobe, Shaq, and everything going on. Did
that resonate?
It's interesting. I mean, I don't really see that in hockey, the way they maybe battled and, you know, went through the whole process, but it's amazing how it all worked out. And, you know, when you're the coach, how you make that all work. There's some big personalities. And then you see what he did, the same thing in, you know, in Chicago with Rodman and doing all, you know, it's amazing to kind of just in different sports. And, you know, Pete Carroll's read his stuff and, you know, the way he thinks, and, you know, you're always trying to find that next, you know, and it's just, if you could take one little thing from it that you like, you know, as Bill Belichick, I like reading his books. He's got a different way about it too. You know,
it's not, and I don't know if people understand. Sometimes it's not about taking it. It's about understanding something that's different. Right. And just, well, okay, but that might not work for me. Right. But wow.
It's amazing, you know, like, and they're such small people or such smart people, and they do everything they do.
You know, that becomes the clip. Craig Conroy accuses people of being small. What? We're not clipping that, Jack.
But it's one of those where you just, you know, you read those stories behind the scenes, and you know, you don't get to live it, and to see how other sports do it. I mean, would I love to go see a baseball, see how the the Dodgers do it, the Yankees do it. You know, for me, the Giants on that side.
Because that is something Berkey did a lot.
Yeah. I don't know how you get, I don't know any of the people. So you always wonder, how do you get to meet them would you mind if I came? I mean, obviously I know everything's confidential behind the scenes, but just to get a feel. I mean, with the analytics, when I hear about analytics departments, I mean, Chris Snow does a great job.
Yeah.
He's got a handful of people that work tirelessly for him. But then I hear about some teams and I'm like, what? I do think baseball though is a game where you go from a stop to a pitch. I think it's a little bit different analytically. So
have you established your position on analytics? Have you come out and established Craig Conroy, general manager of the Calgary Flames, believes this about analytics?
No, because I think
It's
there's
evolving.
still data that's coming. All the new stuff we're getting from the league, all that stuff,
player tracking
the
information.
player tracking, it's all coming. So would I say I'm perfect how to do it? What I do think I like is if the data out there says this player X is really popping in this league, then we can get our scouts in there. I still think we use it all together, where it's not one thing. Well, if the data says this, we take it. If the scout says that, we take it. You kind of put it all together and you pull. Like when I first started, they showed us like a face off, starting the thing. It went back to the D, over, and then it got a missed pass. It went in. They had like 85 points on that. I'm like, what? Like 85 points. What do I think is what do I think is important? I think this D not making the right pass. I like that.
Okay.
This center winning the draw.
Yep.
There's certain things I want to take out of it. If the guy stepped over the red line with the puck and made the pass, I don't know if that means as much to me. That probably doesn't mean as much to me, but there are things, puck battles, winning puck battles is huge, making plays. Maybe you don't even score, but people that make plays consistently, even though and that might be a person on the third line who creates a lot of chances for his team, but isn't with finishers and 5-on-5 play. And like, I think a big thing for me is 5-on-5 play. I find if you can play 5-on-5 and produce, very important.
Okay.
It's very important.
Todd Button.
Yeah.
You've worked with him now in so many different ways. Why is he still here? In the sense of, it's a business that some of those scouts get. Why is he so what aren't we telling the public about Todd Button? I don't mean why is he still here from the standpoint of why is he still here? He's here for a reason. I know that. But what don't we know about Todd Button?
First of all, his meetings when you watch one of his meetings, I wish you could come in and see his whole meeting. And
invite me. I'll come down.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. We can do that. But I mean, I think the way he's organized, the way he runs his staff, behind the scenes, because I get to see all the players he did want. Some years we didn't have draft picks until the fourth round, but the players that he wanted, the players that we would have picked, I'm thinking those are the things that people don't get to see. They only get to see, these are the players, or the players that we thought we were going to get, and then they got taken to pick before. That's very hard to take when you really.
How often does that happen? And I'm assuming that happens probably more in the later rounds, right?
Well, no, it happens. It bothers me at the beginning.
It does.
It does. That's probably, I bet you three times in the 12 years I've been in this side, a guy that we really like. And one of those guys is a really, really good player. And it's frustrating when you watch, and that happens. Every team's going to have the same thing.
Yeah.
But that's one where you're like, oh, that hurt. And then you're like, oh, maybe he won't be that. Oh no, he's that good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it does happen, but the way he does his meetings, his preparation,
he's a good evaluator,
very good evaluator, very good. And he knows his strengths and weaknesses, behind the scenes, his information, his knowledge, the people that he knows in this league. It's invaluable.
I just wish I could ask that question better, because really I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things that, again, we're grading the draft, or, why this guy's been, it's something in this organization to have the longevity that he's had to work for 5 general managers.
Yeah.
Right. And ultimately you're the guy that makes the call,
Yeah.
right?
And I'll be honest, like when I took over, I could, the scouts weren't under
Signed?
contract.
Yep.
So, I mean, the first thing I did was get Todd's. I told Murray, John Bean, and
Yep.
Don, I have to have Todd back.
Okay.
We just have that relationship, because what people don't understand is, hey, are we right on everybody? No. But when we go through the process, where did we mess up? Why is that? Why did we have this guy so low? Was it the skating? Are we more?
Yeah.
All these things we can go back and look. But if I was to bring in someone new, that's a 3-4 year process to see, oh, okay. Oh, that guy was good. That guy wasn't good. I think that's why a lot of times you don't see a lot of change in those positions, because we have a real comfort level. I know my weakness is a scout, and I think he has a little bias in certain ways, but
it's complimentary now, right?
yes. With that said, but he's still open to going.
Yeah.
I remember when we were talking about Fox the first time, and Jim Cummins, the very first meeting, says, we have to draft him. And Todd was like, I could tell he liked the player. He wasn't saying we pounded the table in October, we have to draft him. But then as we went along, he's like, you know what? Yeah, this is a guy we need. He's not the biggest defenseman, but boy, what he does with the puck, skating is good, not great. There were some things, but he said, you're right. Okay. And, we could have easily went in a different direction, but he listened to Jim Cummins, and that's what he does. He takes, if his staff is passionate and they're pounding the table for a player, and Foxy's been pretty good.
I was going to say, that's a win, right?
Yes.
Like you consider that a win.
Yes.
What happens afterwards, and I never forget this. You and I were in St. Paul for the draft, and that's where Johnny got picked.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another player of similar stature, size, that was way up in the first round. And I said, are you thinking about it? And you told me won't come to Canada.
Yeah.
That you met with him.
Did not want to come to
Canada.
Canada.
Didn't want one come to Canada. So you didn't,
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Fox still counts as a win.
Yeah.
What happened afterwards happened afterwards.
Yeah. He did not mention not coming to Canada.
No.
He would be happy to be a Calgary Flame. Like at the time, there was no problems with that.
Okay.
So that, unfortunately for us, he had such a good first year. It was amazing. They were comparing him to Brian Leach and Bobby Orr. And I thought
that's high praise.
This is exciting stuff. For a 3rd round pick, I'm like, this is Jimmy Cummins, great job.
Yep.
Todd Button staff, great job.
Yep.
And, unfortunately,
that's the business of hockey.
Yeah.
Which now you have to deal with.
Yeah.
What is a Craig Conroy draft meeting like? What do you want in there? Jim Cummins comes in. We got to get this guy. Somebody might be quiet. How do you organize your meetings?
No, I want you, if you're passionate about a player,
Yep.
you don't have, Jimmy's a bigger, louder.
Yeah. It's a good example though.
If I want you, especially when we get in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, because everybody will have a good feel on the top 3 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
As we move down, that's where your area scouts, we want them. We always say, who do you want to put that Calgary Flame jersey on? We don't, I like this guy. He's fine. I'd take him. No. Who are you going to pound the table for in your area? That you feel like you want him to be a Calgary Flame.
How far can I go?
What's that?
I want to draft Jack Haverstock.
Yeah.
Jack's just amazing. No, we really like Hanzik.
Mm-hmm.
You're wrong. No, stop. Like, how far am I allowed to go with you?
No,
what's your?
They go a ways. I mean, it's
Okay.
not easy, but I want that. You'd rather have that passion and want, but then we'll go back and we'll look at what do the analytics say? What did the testing at the combine say? What did the people around him say? What kind of character is he off the ice? So now you're putting all those little pieces together. And
Interview?
interview process at the combine, like all that stuff comes into play.
What's the weirdest question you guys ask at the interview?
We don't do that.
Okay. So it's none of this. If you could kill Adolf Hitler as a baby, would you? I mean, you're not asking those types of questions. No. Okay.
Like,
I thought for a second you're thinking
my
about
thing
it.
is, my question is, and I stole it from Jason Robertson, was the player that's in Dallas.
Yeah.
He brought it to us the one year. He goes, I want to give you guys a fun fact about myself. Oh, yeah. Good.
He says this to you?
He said, and he kind of went through a spiel of what it was awesome. I loved it. I was like, this is great.
Is that now a question? Give us a fun
so
fact.
at the end, I just say, give me a fun fact.
And
some guys speak 5 languages. Some guys are.
And do you bring up the unicycle?
Yeah, but I can't do it. And I can't bring up the unicycle anymore because I can't.
You need practice.
I do need practice.
You need practice. You can still ride a unicycle. Don't be so hard on yourself.
I used to be able to fly around when you're a kid, though.
I know. It was so disappointing when you couldn't pull it off. But that's another story.
Yeah.
So you're not getting into that silliness or any of that stuff.
And
how much do you feel you get out of that now? Are these kids coached or overcoached or?
They're good. Matt Brown actually runs it for us.
Okay.
He asked the questions. So we have kind of a concise way we want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really to kind of get them to meet us. We get to meet them, see how they are. If they're European, how is the English?
Sure.
Go through. And that's really what it is. You only get 15 minutes.
How do you organize it? Are they across from all of you? Or are you guys in a circle?
They sit at the end of the table, and then we kind of sit around them. It's in one of the suites, so it's a small area. So yeah, we just kind of sit around.
Were you in on Jankowski's?
Yes.
Now, for some reason, I have this feeling that was it Jankowski in front of?
Yes. So Jay brought him into the scouting meetings at the draft, and that was a huge room,
right?
And it was like a big circular table. Say there's 40 people around this thing, and he was in the hot seat, right in the middle. It was, I felt like I could see the sweat start. I was nervous, but so that's how that worked. Cause Jay, Jay wanted to meet him again at the draft.
And you had been over a decade's worth of drafts. So you had sat at that big table. What was different about sitting at the head of that table in Nashville this year? What did you have to do differently?
The one thing is you're prepared as you're moving forward, like when we want to move down. If we had calls, move down, move up. I tried to move up once and move down. Like those are the things that you're really doing at the table. Is there any trade talks at the table? Those are the things that are happening real time, where sitting over to the side, I would have to hear it from Brad after he talked to the other GMs. So just the communication with the other GMs and just kind of figuring out, is there opportunities? Some people want to move,
Is it drag or does it just fly by?
It flies by. When you're in that seat, it flies by.
Yeah.
And you know what? I shouldn't say that. It kind of flies by even when because you have players you like and you get nervous.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of inside. Everyone looks calm, but I'm like, oh, please.
Do you have a poker face? Are you poker face there?
Yeah. You just look, cause you don't want, cause the cameras, you can see all the cameras on you.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do anything. And
yeah.
After the first day though, someone must have messed with me because they had my phone off. So Billy Guerin came over, said, you got to turn your phone up. I'm trying to call you. So I was like, really, Billy? I thought he was, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. It was down. So yeah, we talked for
like the table phone, not your
table phone,
not your cell phone, the table phone.
The table
so
phone.
somebody came over and pranked you?
I don't know if they did, or it was just
was
down,
it tree?
Or I didn't know to turn it up. I didn't know. I just assumed it was going to be turned up, but yeah, I learned a lesson there. So that was one thing I'm like, that's embarrassing. And Billy and I were roommates at the Olympics.
Yeah.
So we're friends, but he's like, hey,
yeah,
rookie, stand up here. So everyone probably thought we were talking about something. He goes, I tried to call you. Your phone's not turned on. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. And Don did it for me.
I mentioned this to you before, but one of my favorite lines from Tree was, I asked him one day, I think it was after an injury or something. He goes, oh yeah. He says, there's a sale on anchors. What's it been like being the new GM? What's it been like? I mean, is there anybody fleecing you? Anybody calling you and offering you, a bag of magic beans? What's the response been like from your new peer group?
It's been good. I mean, I think obviously they're feeling me out,
okay,
which I expect that,
Okay.
but they've been very helpful also too.
Okay.
I mean, that's the one thing I think, as much as
It's a network of thieves is what you're saying, right?
a little bit. Yeah. But I mean, if you have a question about how something works, insurance, you can ask, if there's salary things for people, like they help each other.
Yeah.
They do help each other a little bit, like, but overall they've been very good. And I think it's funny because I think you're thinking of all the trades behind the scenes and what's going on. I mean, you have lots of conversations. I think the salary cap makes it tough.
Oh, sure. It
tough
does.
to make moves. To be flat for this long, only going up $1 million. It's very hard to do things maybe that you'd like. There's some things that would be great. Maybe, no, we can't do that. Like financially, either they can't do it or I can't do it. So, those are the things behind the scenes. I think people get frustrated when they're going through the process. Why isn't, they probably want me to do things right away, or it's not as easy. And even the first day at the draft, just to get, when we did the Toffoli trade, it was amazing to get a draft pick in this draft.
That was a win.
It was a win.
Yeah.
A win.
Yeah.
Talked to a lot of teams, and there was not,
was that nerve-wracking, that deal? Because here's my assumption is that somewhere along the line, Brad let you put a deal together and he just rubber stamps it or whatever.
Yeah.
You'd been involved in trade talks before.
Oh yeah. You're involved, but you're not the one making the deal.
So it's different.
Oh yeah, it's different. Butterflies, a little nervous. And obviously, like Toffoli being leading scorer on your team.
Yeah.
You're trying to max what you can get. You're trying to find out the best deal you can get and the most. I mean, would you want higher picks? Would you, you're always trying to gauge every team, and then you kind of find, okay, this is the market. If you want to do the deal, and you don't have to do the deal.
I was curious about the communication, not the communication, but the narrative on that that the player came out and said, hey, we said we wanted to stay, but they didn't want us. Is that accurate, or is it? I mean, this is the business of hockey, right? You identified when you got hired, these 7 players. We have to figure out what we're doing. And then you said, we have priorities. And is this a case? No, I don't want to make it about Tyler, but sometimes it's hard, right? When you have to tell somebody you're third or you're fourth, here's first and second. The great Wally Buono from the Stampeders. Football's not a democracy, right? Like, you have to do what's best for the hockey club.
Yeah, you're trying to build a team.
Is that hard sometimes
for sure.
To tell players?
Because you like these guys.
Yes.
They're good people.
Yes.
Their families
That's
are
right.
good people. It's not that, that's the hardest part, is even when you made the trade, that wasn't fun to say, hi, Toff, Connie here. Like, we just traded you to New Jersey. That's hard.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was pretty quiet, and he said, hey, thanks for everything.
He wanted to be here.
Yeah, he did want to be here. But again,
the players want to be here, don't they?
I think they want to be here.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's,
I mean, that's the thing. It's not that he didn't want to be here, but I have to build the team for the next 5. In the end, we're trying to build the team to win the Stanley Cup.
But you were that guy once, right?
Oh, for sure. I had to leave.
Right.
We went to
and then
finals.
Somebody went on the radio and ran you hard.
Yeah. I mean, those are the
Good
things.
thing you forgot it.
But for my job is to do the best thing for the team. And, for sure people want to sign. And then, there's the length of sign, how much money. And these are all the things behind the scenes that, people are like, well, why would you get rid of this person or that person? Well, there's things that are going to fit moving forward and things that aren't going to fit moving forward.
The return was targeted, though. That was I felt like, and am I wrong on this, that this had Chris Snow and the analytics department on it, fingerprints on it a bit, because the year before, the 2 players had very similar, right? And then the next year, both had kind of outlier seasons. Mm-hmm. Did analytics play a role in the return?
Oh, it does. It does play. But our scout, Steve Plow, that's out there, myself watching him kill penalties, watching him, the things that he was doing, and he wasn't on Jack Hughes' line. He got moved down in the lineup. And for some reason he was out of the lineup for the playoffs, but that happens with coaches. I've been in the same situation in
Sure.
St. Louis. Just because I was a third line checker, I got to come here and I got more ice time and I got to play in the power play and things like, so all these things, we're looking at all that. He's 25 years old. He skates. He can play all 3 forward positions. The one thing that I liked is how good a penalty killer he is. I'm hoping he's as, like when you watch him kill penalties, the way he reads plays,
he's dangerous, right?
Yes. And he's got a very good shot. Very good shot. He didn't get any power play time in New Jersey. And, that's just the way it worked in New Jersey. With Ryan here, I don't know what he might get some though, so that's the thing that's exciting is, even when I talked to him, he heard what I said about getting more of an opportunity. He likes that idea. He didn't feel like he was getting as much of an opportunity as he would have liked in New Jersey. And that happens. Players feel like that all the time.
How active could you have been?
I could,
if you could make any, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Because again, we do this. This is the royal we, the media. Oh, this offseason. Oh my God, this draft. Oh my God, it's coming. It's coming. The tsunami of trades are coming. And then it was very quiet.
It was quiet around the league, but I do think there's opportunities to do trades, but they don't make sense for your team. Right. So, to do a trade, I guess to do a trade because people are thinking, oh, this will be exciting a lot. But then if you do a trade that they're not going to like those trades. Cause I didn't like, in my mind, I'm like, those don't fit at all for me. That's not how we're going to get better here.
Yeah.
If they would have done it for other things, if there was different things to be done, that's part of it too. So you're always trying to do what's the best thing for, you're not just, the one thing I'll say, our ownership group's amazing as far as there's no pressure. Like I think some people think there's this pressure. They want you to do what's right for the team at whatever pace you have. They're not saying doing anything, and Don Maloney's the same way. There's no pressure to have to do anything. You want to do what's right for the team at the right moment.
Can you say rebuild?
I guess you can say anything, but I
don't know why this always comes up.
Yeah.
Oh, rebuild. Rebuild. Is the rebuild the answer, Craig? I'll flat out ask you because there's a whole bunch of people. I can see the number.
Yeah.
This is our biggest show in the history of our show. And there's people out there going, you're an hour and 10 minutes in. You have not asked them about a rebuild. Can you rebuild?
With the players we have right now? No, it's not a rebuild. It wouldn't be a rebuild.
Can you win with the players you have right now?
We feel we're a better team than we're a better team than we were last year, than we showed last year. Do I think we should have made the playoffs? Yes, it didn't work. Do I think we have some work to do? Yeah.
Does it matter that you were 1 point better than Florida, who made it to the Stanley Cup final?
No, because we didn't make the playoffs.
Okay.
Obviously it's always if you can get in. Florida just proved that if you can get in, you don't know what's going to happen, but we didn't make the playoffs. So that's just not good enough.
Yeah.
If it could go in that, I'm not saying it's going to go in that direction, but I guess when we're looking from behind the scenes, how do we regroup and turn this thing into a way where we're consistently in the playoffs and winning, and one of my things is, you didn't see us go get a lot of free agents. We're going to give these young guys a chance. They're good players. We had the best American League team, last year. We're going to give some of these guys a chance. And, you want to see them come in because I think when you can there's certain players that are NHL players and they're great at their roles.
Mm-hmm.
I think these young players have a chance to do more. They be players, but they might have a chance to pop and be really good players and give you more than you would get from just a player that, he's a third or fourth line players and this is what he's going to give you, but he's going to be very, very good at it. These guys have more upside, I think.
I think you're going to be mad at me when I say this.
Okay.
So I'm preparing for this.
Okay.
Was the Matthew Phillips case an example of you doing what you felt you had to do for the hockey club and not listening to your heart?
Well,
I do,
but I do think it's good for what Matthew Phillips. It's good for him to go see another organization to go,
but you weren't prepared to give him a one-way deal.
No, we gave him we offered him a 2-year contract. Like anything.
You would have liked to have seen him get more of a chance here last year.
Yes. Oh, for sure. I would have, I mean, it would have made things a lot easier if he played more games and had opportunity and he got to play, but he just didn't. So, from our side, we love Matthew. We'll be watching again this year. I mean, he signed a 1 year
No reason
deal.
you can't acquire him some other point.
Yeah.
But I know, and what I mean is, Craig, I looked at that and I go, because I know how much you like the player and I know how much you wanted to see him get a chance. And it would have been really easy for you to go, my team, I'm going to give him a one-way deal. But it seems to me you did the prudent thing in your mind, which is we don't have an assessment of him as an NHL player. It's a risk. We can't lock in. Am I close?
It's
Am
hard.
I close on this?
It's hard. It's hard. You know what? When you drafted him, like people say, well, why would you draft him, do all this, and then now he's gone? I drafted him because I still believe in him to this day.
Yes.
But did I get to see it? Did we have him? And you know what? Also, just talking to him at the end of the year meetings, he was very honest. He was very,
disappointed.
Yes, very, very much. And I don't blame him. I wish him nothing but the best. And it's a small little, this hockey world is small.
Yep.
I left, I came back. Is the door ever shut at anybody? No, it's not.
But I'm right in making the case for
yes,
you that you had to do what was right for the hockey club.
I wanted him back. That's why we offered him a 2-year deal.
Right. But you could have given him a 1-year deal in one way.
Yeah.
That wasn't the right thing to do.
But he still has the option of going somewhere else.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I get that. Okay. So are you suggesting that maybe I'm giving you too much credit?
No, I'm not. No, that's, I mean, the thing is, I know exactly where you went with it. And you know what? Because I did, and Bob Hartley says, Craig, you fall in love with players. I'm trying not to fall in love with players, but I wish we would have seen what he could have done.
And that's my point too, is I'm not critical of the move. You know this, you listen to the podcast. I love the kid. I wanted him.
Yeah.
That was one of my only criticisms of Darryl, was that Darryl just did not seem to want to develop at the NHL level. Mm-hmm. In 2003-4, when that team went to the Stanley Cup final, in that era of hockey, you did not you didn't develop players at the NHL level. You got them from the American Hockey League and they ascended. Mm-hmm. I think the league has changed. Am I wrong? That now as a coach, part of your resume is going to be developing players on the fly.
Especially with the salary cap world.
Right?
With the salary cap world.
Which didn't exist then.
It did not exist. I try to explain to people that all the time. This is a different beast now.
Absolutely.
Young players, they come in, entry-level contracts. They're making a set amount of money. You need those players. If you're going to have success, you need to bring those players in and do it. I mean, I think that's where, where Matty, we would probably say the same thing. He was frustrated with us at the end, and rightfully so. I would be frustrated too. He, as well as he played, but I think if you look at our team makeup, not to go back to Al McNeil, if
you can go back to Al anytime.
If, Andrew Mangiapane's not huge. Dylan Dubé is not huge. Jacob Pelche is not huge. Matt Coronado is not huge. So, I mean, I think if you say,
but they're quick,
they're good. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if you didn't have, say you had different players and your makeup's different.
Well, that's what makes Walker Duehr so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The big size skating,
which you found.
Help find. Might have pushed Billy in the right direction. I got to see him a lot when I was watching, when I was watching Connor Mackey. Every game I went to, Walker Duehr scored. He might only score 6 to 7 goals in a year. Everyone I was at, he scored. So, I mean, I told our college scout at the time, Billy Powers, I said, you got to watch this guy. Even Tree and I went down to a tournament in Arizona to watch him, and he scored. And it was weird with Walker. He would score and then not play the rest of the game. It was a bizarre. And even Brad was like, I go, watch, he scored. He might not play. He's like, yeah, right. He's like, yeah, he's not playing. This is weird. Like, it was a weird, I don't know why that was, but
is that something now you're impressing upon your scouts as you bring them in? Or is that something all scouts do? I don't know. I mean, if I'm going in to watch Connor Mackey, is it the expectation that I will also be paying attention to everybody else?
Well, you can't, to go in and scout, you're probably looking at, 4 or 5 guys. If you're looking at drafted players from other teams, if you're looking at the college free agents, there might be 2 or 3. But if someone catches your eye, you notice someone. Walker was big. He could skate.
Yeah.
He didn't get to play in the power play or penalty kill.
Yeah.
but he just looked like an NHL player.
Do you guys get enough credit? Garnet Hathaway, Lomberg, Dewar. These are all guys that weren't drafted that you found.
Yeah.
Or is that normal?
Well, I mean, I think that's what you're looking for when you don't make a draft pick. Say we don't have a pick until the 4th round.
Yeah.
We're looking for how do we supplement not having those picks? How do we get an extra player? Because you only get 7 picks a year, and 1 year you might only have 3, you might have 2, you might have 4. So you're looking to supplement those players. I mean, I think Lomberg was an interesting one because we were in watching Kyle Connor, and again, Jimmy Cummins was there. Yeah. And I'm like, who's the guy on the other wing?
Kyle Connor,
Winnipeg. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's who I was in to watch in the USHL. And that was kind of, and
this goes all the way back to the USHL.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And Ryan Lomberg was there. And I thought, oh, Jimmy goes, I really like him. He plays great with Kyle. He kind of keeps the flies off Kyle. I'm like, for a small guy, he plays with some jam.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he played great that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
They played in Chicago, and so you're kind of watching. And I remember thinking, like, Jimmy and I went after and got dinner, and we just were talking. I said, we should invite him to development camp. Don't you think? Yeah, let's do that. So we invited him to development camp. And I remember we were sitting over having lunch again, eat a lot. And I got a call from the agent, and he was switching colleges, but they weren't going to be able to, he wasn't going to be able to play until after Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, what do you think about him here? I said, we'll sign him. We like him. I like him. I think he's great. Like, he's been really, really good. So I go, Jimmy, you have any problem signing Lomberg to, I think it was just an American League deal. Nope, no problem. And he earned it.
You had that authority?
That's what my job. Yeah. So I would have to go and take it to Brad and explain why and what he could do.
But you were confident you were confident that's what you were doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. That's what I mean. Garnet Hathaway. I remember coming to Berkey. I went and watched Garnet, and he got kicked out of the games. I had to stay and watch more games because he just would, he would kind of run a guy and get kicked out of the game in college. And it was one of those where,
you good? You all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
these people would get very angry if I was keeping you from doing work.
Sorry. Yeah. He, so it was one where I thought, okay, hey, and again, he was a player we put on an American League deal.
Yeah.
Truculence.
I
brought it.
Did you? Yeah.
Berkey,
you were writing for an audience, were you?
Because he looked he looked at the stats. He goes, well, his stats aren't really very good. I said, yeah, but he works hard, talking to the coaches. Yeah. Everything was checked the boxes. And we said, Garnet, we give you an American League deal. And if you earned it, we could give you an NHL deal. And, if
dude just signed, like, dude's a legitimate NHLer that people want, right? Need trade deadline acquisition.
He had 19 goals, I think, that first year in the American League. And I thought to myself, wow, he's really done a great job. Like, when we moved him over to an NHL deal the next year, and, but because he earned it, he did it. He wasn't and I think when we go into the colleges and you're looking for players and they're a little bit older. Yeah. So, maybe they're not the high.
Are they all role players?
What?
Are they all role players? Like, you're not going to go in and get a high-end offensive player at that. Like, they're more, you're
probably, bottom 6, I would say.
Right. But characters.
Yeah. Defensemen, I see, it seems like there's a few more defensemen out there, probably because defense are a little bit, they develop later. They're older. So those are the things where you're looking, maybe a goalie.
Yeah.
But you're just looking to try to do the best job you can and find, and sometimes we don't have NHL contracts, and, these guys are, they want to get their foot in the door. They'll take an American League deal, and then, all
right, this is getting away from me. We got to get to some topics that I know that
people want to.
This is the stuff I love. Okay. One last one. Agents. How have the agents been with you now in your role?
They've been good
because you've always had it.
Yeah. I've always talked to the agents. The agents are good. It's amazing the amount of calls, that you get on a daily basis, especially now. There's a lot of players that haven't signed places. But again, like, they see the spots maybe at the NHL level, and I'm, kind of my thing is I'm going to give my young guys a chance right now. This is, that's what.
So you're not sitting here waiting for prices to fall.
No.
In terms of free agency.
No.
Okay.
I mean, obviously you're talking to people and
That's the business.
You're doing that, but you don't want to fill up. I think in years past, we filled up all the spaces as quick as possible. And there hasn't been a room, not saying, hey, if the young guys don't come in and don't prove themselves and make the team, then you might have to find someone, whether that's with a trade, with, there's different ways. There's people on waivers all the time.
Right.
Those are the areas that you
will you bring some tryout or PTO?
We've talked about it.
Yeah.
But again, I want to give these guys a chance.
Yeah, it's the yin and the yang, isn't it?
And every time we've brought in those players, they're very good players. And they're NHL players. They come in ahead of the game. And sometimes that makes it easier for them.
Gotcha.
And not easier for them, but they stand out a little bit more and they get jobs.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it's a tough one.
I use the word fait accompli with Jay Feaster and Bob Hartley. Jerome Iginla was it always? Was it a package? Because the media wanted to make it a package.
Well, it wasn't a package, but we've always talked about it.
And I know, and I can vouch for that. You've had that conversation with Jerome for a long time.
Yeah, Jerome's with his sons and his daughter,
mm-hmm.
very, very, very involved,
mm-hmm.
So, and he's coaching Joe this year. So for me, it was about, do you want to do this? But it's amazing. I mean, I get 20 texts a day now from him. He's got ideas.
He's that into it.
Oh, very. You know what? I knew once he did it, because I kind of gave him, hey, we can work it in slowly. And then, you're coaching Joe. He watches video. I mean, with Sharon Govich, he didn't know him. So he's off watching video, seeing, okay, I see this is good. And he's bringing back scouting reports.
Yeah.
Strengths, weaknesses, what he thinks he needs to work on, it's amazing. But I think as him being a coach, he also sees it a little bit differently too.
What's your long-term plan with him? Or does he determine that?
Oh, I think this year is kind of a feel out. I think he's going to be, Jerome can't do anything half. So
no, and I know that, and I know that, but he also got the sense that he left and went away.
Yeah.
Right. And now he's back. And that's the one. It's funny. I'm not surprised at you saying he texted you 20 times. I saw the video from camp. He was his nose right into it.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's like, I want to go talk to these players after. He'd give me a list. He would notice things, little shooting things around the slot. Like, he said, instead of shooting it so hard, you want to be quick. You want to be accurate. You want to, let the goalie, if you shoot it too hard and you're close, the goalie's not out of the way. He sees that stuff really quick. Yeah. So to be able to talk to a 18, 19-year-old player, they were impressed. I mean, I could tell they like
Yeah.
For him to say, hey, do you guys mind if I get your cell phone numbers and I could call you during the year and come see you play? I mean, they were like, yes, absolutely. That was, even when we're at the draft, when we're talking to players, we brought in some players to, people are excited. I think this is a huge win for the organization. And, whether Lanny or Jerome, greatest player of all time, to be a part of this and to be he's excited about it too. I mean, he's not just putting his name there. He's involved. He's got ideas. He's got input.
I love it.
It's going to be great.
And I know how close you guys are, and you and I have had many conversations. I really would like to be there behind the scenes one day, because he will not lay off. Right?
No,
but he will bring it.
Yeah.
If he has an opinion, he will bring it to you.
Oh yeah. And that's what you want. You don't want people just to say,
you don't want yes.
Agree with, it doesn't work that way because, and I know when he's on board, I know when he's not on board right away, but
is it that quick?
Oh yeah. He'll say, well, why do you say that? What do you think about this? He'll ask questions. How many draft picks are, he's always like, is there a number of draft picks in a certain year that's too many? In one draft, like say you had 15 picks, would that be, I'm like, that would be tough because, he's like, why would it be tough? Why couldn't you? I said, well, because if you do junior players, you got to sign them in 2 years and you'll lose a lot of players if you have all 15 junior players. But if you have some college and you had some Europeans, and he's like, okay, so you could,
guys were as teammates, you guys talk politics.
Oh yeah.
You talked everything, right?
Yeah. And we're competitive against each other.
Yeah.
But it's nice to, we went to the awards and, you forget though, it is Jerome. when we're going to the wards and we're walking, oh boy, it takes forever to get somewhere with them.
Oh, you're talking about this?
The awards this year. We went
Um,
over to the awards and it's like, holy cow. I mean, it's
I
like
have it
Jerome
on-
Iginla's back.
I have it on good authority that you talked about Brian Burke and the influence in this club in the community. I have it on good authority that the 2023 Willie O'Ree Award winner was on his way to the stage, and Jerome was the first guy to stand up and shake his hand, and the rest of the Flames organization, and was the first team to recognize that's how you guys carry yourself.
Oh yeah. I mean, Jerome didn't hesitate there. I mean, Willie and him have a special bond.
Yeah.
Always have when we were players.
Yeah.
Whenever Willie was around.
Yeah.
So I mean that means a lot to Jerome. But that's the way the organization wants to be portrayed. You know, it's.
Are you going to? Is the organization going to be looked at differently in a year or two under your administration?
I hope so. I mean, the thing is, there needs to be some changes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what I said. The environment, how we deal with people, how we do things. You know, hopefully in 2 or 3 years from now, they say, "Oh, Craig's putting a stamp on here, and it's going in the right direction." I'm not saying it's going to be overnight, but you know, the one thing I get frustrated with is when I hear Calgary is not a good city. Calgary people want to. That bothers me.
It bothers you. No, sorry. It bothers you because it's out there?
Yeah.
And are people using it as a crutch?
That people throw it out there and they, you know.
Well, they all pointed that one day where Frank Seravalli said, this guy wants out, this guy wants out, this guy wants out. Uh-oh, nobody wants to play in Calgary anymore.
And that's frustrating because I don't think that's true at all. You know, Calgary is a great city. You know, hey, is it an old rink? Yes, it is an older rink. There's nothing I can do about the rink yet, but it looks like we're going to get a new rink.
Yes.
So that's, you know, we can throw that out of the equation. You know, when you go around.
How much will that help?
I think it will help. I mean, you know, the young guys nowadays, they love every time there's a new phone, they get a new phone. They want something new all the time.
Okay.
They like new things.
Okay.
You know, so I do think that would be a big.
Will you have much influence in what's done for the hockey facing stuff?
Yeah. Locker rooms and stuff like that. You get to be in that input, which is great. I mean, that's one thing. John Bean's all inclusive with that stuff. He lets you have input, and it's good because I think that to have the trainers involved, to have the different departments, because they know what works, what doesn't work, the training staff, medical rooms, all that. There's a lot to it.
But Craig, I can go and play in Texas or Nevada, and I don't have to pay taxes.
The tax thing always gets me because, okay, the taxes are, but every NHL hockey player makes U.S. money.
Correct.
And I must be the only person that knows there's a difference in exchange rates right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what it is exactly today, but when they take their check and move it over, you know, if they paid whatever in taxes, well, they're getting a little money back.
Yep.
You know, when they with the exchange. So, you know, I don't understand that. I mean, when I be an American to come, I love it in Calgary. I mean, that's why I'm still here.
Yeah.
I don't get the narrative of, it can be cold. Well, there's lots of places that are cold. You know, that's the thing. I mean, not everybody's going to be able to play in certain states. So for me, it's about, we have a great fan base.
Mm-hmm.
We have, I like the Saddle Dome. We're going to have a new building, you know, but it's winning. And
that's kind of the rub here, isn't it?
It's the winning. So, and that's what we're trying to build here.
Okay.
But we have to do this together.
Okay.
I mean, for me, that's the thing that works.
Am I keeping you
Oh,
from
no,
something?
you're not. No,
okay.
Sorry.
No, you're a busy guy. Michael Backlund this week, Swedish paper. I'm never coming back to Calgary. No, that's not what was said. And then it became, hey, if things go well, I'll resign. Where are we at with Backlund? Where are we at? I mean, you got unless you do have a prepared statement, you got really no updates on anything right now, right?
No, nothing right now. I mean, that's, you know, we're all working through it. We're doing everything behind the scenes. It's not, we're not making anything public. I mean, I feel bad for Bax. He keeps having to bring this issue up over and over again.
He keeps bringing it up, or he keeps getting asked
he keeps
about
getting asked, and
Yeah.
it comes up.
Okay.
He's not bringing it up.
You're happy to have him back.
Yes. And he's happy to come back.
Could he be the captain of this team? Would he be that type of person you'd want as the leader of this team? You are going to have a captain, right?
Yes, we're going to have a captain.
Okay.
And Bax would have been,
I'm not going to back you into
yeah,
that. Corner,
I don't know how to answer that right now. I mean, I want to wait and see.
But
do want a captain, 100%.
and you have them in house. You
Yes.
don't need to acquire a
No,
captain.
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. Let's go with that one. How about
Yeah.
that? You comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you for helping.
You're very welcome. Dustin Wolf. What do we do? What do we do? He got another award today.
He gets a lot of awards.
He gets a lot of awards. I don't remember in my time in Calgary, and I defer to you on this, I do not remember an American Hockey League player with as much fanfare, accolades, deservedly so, than Dustin Wolf. Like, it's incredible.
From the time we drafted him, when he came on the table and he was pretty much said, this is going to be a great pick, he's performed right from the start.
You have no reason to doubt he can't do it at the NHL?
Again, he'd have to prove he couldn't. But
Right.
we need to let
which
him
is,
prove it.
which is, and that's important. The wording there is important, right? Because there's a lot of guys you bring up that have to prove they can.
Yeah.
This is the opposite.
This is the opposite, bro.
Okay.
Because we said, well, okay, we're, as we watch, and it's great for us because we're here, and I don't know how many Wrangler games I got to see, probably over 20 this year.
How much does it help having it in the backyard?
Oh, it's great. You know what? To be able to have both of them here at the same time. It feels like a home run. And I think the players really enjoy it too, because, when I was playing, I got called up in the American League, and you go from Fredericton to Montreal back. If you were in the same city, the way they are it's just to be able to stay in your same bed, to be able to not have, if you have a family, if you have everything, it's really a home run. And for us actually to see them every day. And if there's any issues, we're right there.
Yeah.
We get to see the American League coaches more. We get to be around it more. It's a home run.
You have a lot of goalies.
I have a lot of goalies, but
Today.
it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Sure.
The one thing you always want goalies to play though, and that's the one thing you don't want Dustin just to play 15 games in a year.
What's Oliver Dansk? Is he like forgotten in all this? I mean, he's an amazing human being, great in the community. Seems like everything you want in a backup, but is that fair to call him a backup? I mean, is he?
He was great for us this year. The only thing is you have the best player in the league.
That's why I'm asking the question. I don't know what he is.
Yeah, he's a very good goaltender. That isn't.
Could he turn into something?
For sure.
Okay.
For sure. I mean,
Okay.
That's the thing. We brought him in because we thought, hey, depending if you ever had an injury, if you need a goalie,
We've seen
this
that movie
guy can
before,
play.
haven't we?
100%. It happens, unfortunately, in the past it has happened, and you just watch what Vegas did with all their goaltenders. They had a lot. I mean, it's a position, such a valuable position, and to be really deep at it, it's the one thing that lets me go to sleep at night thinking I feel very comfortable about.
God bless Joey McDonald. We learned our lesson. Right.
I like Joey.
Joe, yeah, I do too, but it just didn't work out the way we thought it would, right?
Well, and that's why, even with Jordan, with us drafting players, and you always want to make sure you have goalies coming behind.
Speaking of which, I'm assuming this is your decision, but we have plans now for March 2nd.
We do.
Pittsburgh in town.
Oh, very excited about this. Yes.
So this is your doing. This is.
Should I take credit for this?
You should take credit for this. I did not. I will sit here and I will look you in the eye and tell you, I swear to God, I never thought this would happen. Mika Kiprusoff is going to be honored.
Amazing. Well-deserved first.
Oh, absolutely.
A home run.
Absolutely.
You can't find a better, I got to play with great goaltenders, Hall of Fame goaltenders, and Mika's.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
Longevity would be a problem. We didn't win the cup that year, would be a problem. But in my mind, he could easily be.
I get the longevity thing. I really
what
do.
People would probably be hard.
But
on.
the flip side to that is
he was
in that span.
True.
Nobody played more.
True. I know. I mean, I guess if I just said yes right away, people, he's just saying.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame's an interesting one. Getting your number retired, those are all interesting. Yeah. I get that, but I just feel like I watched something special.
Yeah.
You go to I just remember there was people would call overtime every once in a while. Oh, Mika Kiprusoff wasn't that good. And I'm like, guys, like, honest to God, his record after giving up 4 goals, his record after losses.
Yeah.
The Scorpion. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You were front and center, one of the greatest goaltending performances in the history of the game in 2004. You don't beat Detroit without him.
No, we don't.
Right?
He shuts him out. Yeah. It's amazing what he did. I mean, and I'm biased.
And he's an amazing person.
He's a great person. He's a great
person.
Give
me a Kiprusoff story. What's your what story best exemplifies Mika Kiprusoff?
So as great as he is, and I've told this one before, but we would be talking. I sat where I sat. We would be chatting, and then as soon as the opened up to the media, he's like, "No speak English."
Yep.
No English. Nope. I'm like, really? Kipper. He's like, if I start talking now, Craig, I'm going to have to talk. And that's how he would talk to you right after.
Absolutely. We had a deal. I didn't know we had a deal. We had a deal. Once a year, he'd do a 10-minute interview with me. And that was a deal. And you're right. And he was articulate and the whole thing. You remember when the rumors were that Jokinen was coming? Not when he came, but before that. And then he re-signed. Keenan was the general manager and the coach in Florida.
Okay.
And he re-signed Olli Jokinen to a contract on the day of the trade deadline. But leading up to that, lots and lots of talk about him coming to Calgary, which eventually he did. And I just remember the media comes into the dressing room after practice and we're all waiting and trades could still happen. And all of a sudden I hear behind me, poor media, no trades. And it was Mika. He was walking behind me and he went into the shower. He had a wicked sense of humor.
Oh, he did. Well, that's the thing. He's just such a good person, great teammate. Yeah. And, him and I will have to give Peter Hanlon the credit because Peter put all this together.
Does that dude get enough credit?
No, he does not. What he does behind the scenes, and obviously
VP of Communications is not the accurate title.
No. He's a workhorse.
Because you've seen him now in every incarnation as a player. Now with this,
as a player, I didn't appreciate how much he does. Foundation work, alumni work.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the hats that he wears in the organization is. You could have a whole show on Peter Hanlon. Yeah, actually, you should have Peter Hanlon on the show one day.
I'd love to. I just don't know if I'd get anything.
He doesn't. He's like a vault. He is
like a vault.
You know what? But he's
and he, again, a guy that knows where the bodies are buried.
Yeah. Invaluable to an organization. I mean, for me personally, he probably doesn't want me to come and do the interview today.
Nope.
He would rather have me not do anything or say anything. He's probably,
but I don't think we've said anything.
He'll nitpick everything. I've said stuff that he will not be happy about.
Today?
I would think so. I don't know what it would be. I'll have to tell you after if he's mad at me.
Okay.
He's not mad.
No. He
wants to be careful.
I get it.
He wants to be careful.
A couple of rapid fire for you. Tell me about the alumni. I thought it was amazing that they were there for Huska. Like it just seems like you're going to use them.
Oh, have to use them more.
Yeah.
I want the players to know these guys.
Yeah.
There's no better group of people in this city.
I'm biased, but yeah.
Because when I talked to Johnny the one year we were at the poker tournament and I forget who was with Perry Bearson or somebody was sitting and he really didn't know the guys. And I'm like, you don't know these guys? Well, we don't really do anything with them, Craig, like I know they played or, like he mentioned, oh, is Lanny McDonald here? Is this, they want to know him.
Yeah.
But we didn't. So we need to do it. We need to do a better job. They shouldn't go to an event. We go to an event and not know the alumni because these guys, they led the way. I mean, and if it's funny because when I retired and you're here and we did alumni skates, like you knew them, but then you really got to know them. And now I know why they won. These guys are winners. just
I've been blessed to get to know Colin Patterson, Perry Bears,
Oh.
and those guys. They're special.
I mean,
But you guys are too. Like, I look now at Robin
oh yeah.
and Curtis and and Maddie, Mason Raymond. Like, it's cool. Like, and I didn't know if that was going to happen. Marty's everywhere.
Oh yeah.
I mean, does anybody do more than Marty?
No.
Like, it's incredible.
I mean, you know what I mean? I think that's what, as a Calgary Flame, you've always given back. That was what started with ownership way back when I first got here. That was a priority. And it's funny because when you go around the city, you look up and their names are everywhere, whether it's at the hospital or different, and they don't want any credit for any of that. What they give back to the city but it's always been a priority number one for them. And that's, I think gets lost sometimes because they don't want to be recognized, and this will be something I probably get in trouble for, but they do so much more in the city than people know, and they care. And
why would you get in trouble for that?
Because they don't want recognition. They don't want that.
I know, but I think the world's changed.
Yeah.
And I think with a building coming and with some of the ignorance out there towards what is being done and the work that Candace and the foundation, you and I both know this.
You see it. Yeah.
We see it. And it bugs me. Like, it bugs me that we don't seem to give the credit to these, look at the Edmonton Oilers. Cool. They don't have an alumni. These guys are in the community at 300 plus events a year.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, I get things on my phone all the time. And, I don't do as these guys.
How did you end up at Brian Burke's Targets for Kids? It was an invite through the alumni.
Yes.
And then you said, yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah. And Burke
golf tour
also.
Well, and there's that too. Yeah, of course.
But yeah. But these amazing people.
Well, they are.
And they genuinely just care about this city, and they've given back, and they've been fortunate. And it's a great group, and I do need to mesh them together better than we have. And we've done a good job, but I think we can still do a better job.
Mother's trip, father's trip?
Yes.
Yep.
Father's trip this year.
Father's trip?
Yes.
Okay.
Exciting. Guys are going to be excited, I think.
Yeah.
We didn't do it last year. We haven't done it in a long time. So,
yeah.
And those are the little things when we say environment, and like, I want to get to know their dads and their moms. You want to be around in an environment. And I think every father's trip I've been on, I only got to do one with my dad. He loved it. He did it. Thought it was great.
Yeah.
I remember it was just one of those things where it was just starting, but now when you see it and see it's something that the parents never forget, even if my dad only
and they deserve credit.
And my mom never got to do one, so she's probably going to want me to do a mom's trip.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
Are the players different? How are the players different today than when you were a player? And are you prepared? Are you okay dealing with the younger player now? The newer player?
The newer players they want to know why. Everything's a why. And they want, I think when you talk about going to the minors, and, I thought, okay, I'm going to go to first training camp. I'm going to go to the minors. I'm going to work hard to make a call up. Now everybody just wants to be in the NHL. They want to skip the minors, but,
gotcha.
and sometimes I think they don't respect how good the American League is and how hard it is. And the other thing is just, the social media, these guys are under the spotlight, like anything they do, anything they say, anything they do. So I think they're a little guarded more than we were.
Okay.
With fans, with taking pictures, with doing that. And I think sometimes fans get mad at them because, well, why? But I think they're just more guarded. I think with social media and the phones and the cameras and the videos, it's just a different world. And I do think the one thing when I turn around in the bus and look, everyone's face is glowing back there. Well, yeah, we used to play cards, in the back, and everyone would kind of, but now, people are reaching out to their family, wives, they're texting, and it's just the way the game's kind of changed a little bit. It'd be nice if, it was just sometimes just play cards, and they still do play cards once we get on the plane and stuff like that.
Speaking of families, you have an amazing wife and you have some amazing daughters. What do they make of this new adventure? Are they scared? Are they excited? Are they...
I think they're excited. They're happy for me because they know this is what I wanted.
Yep.
I think it's been super busy. I don't sleep much. And I don't sleep much, not because I I don't sleep, but my mind's always thinking, how do I, my wife will look over and I'll be like looking up at 3:00 in the morning. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just thinking if I could do this, how do I make things better? I said, I'm going to make a couple calls tomorrow. I got some good ideas. And then it doesn't go quite the way my idea doesn't go the way the other team thinks. And but you're always kind of thinking how you can do it. So, because I want nothing more than to do a good job. As a player, I want to do a good job. I want to do a good job here. So, I do think, again, my oldest daughter, she loves the hockey. Like, we've always gone back and forth, and we were in a fantasy pool this year, and we should have won, Taylor, if you're listening. we had the best draft. We had the best year, and we had some injuries right at the end. And I was like, oh, it was a frustrating thing. But, I think when we made the first trade, just a quick story, she calls me, you're getting killed. I said, for sure I'm getting killed. I'm trading Tyler to Foley. And I don't think people are really going to know, who Sharon Govich is.
I had to look him up.
And I don't think they're really going to, right now, they don't know how hard it was to get a pick. She goes, you should have got, where was the first round pick? Where was the second?
She's giving you this.
Yes.
Grief. Your daughter's giving you this. Grief.
She's giving me, I said, Taylor, now don't you think I'm asking for these things? I said,
what a great idea. I never thought of that.
I've talked to multiple teams. I went through all the offers. I said, this felt like a deal with the penalty killing she goes, I go, just go look up. I go, maybe watch a few videos. Jerome's watching right now as we speak, so it's one where, it's always, even when I got here, I understand. Let's be honest. Like, when I got traded for Corey Stillman, I was getting killed.
Yeah.
That was a bad trade in everyone's mind. David Moss ended up being the 3rd round pick. So, Suniev could be David Moss. I'm saying,
sure.
I got to see Suniev a ton in Penticton, really like power forward, strong, score goals. Those are the things. I didn't know who that pick was going to be at the time when we made the trade, but I wanted to have a shot in this draft. So those are the things I try to explain to her, but I go, just get off social media. They're going to kill me,
I was going to say this earlier. I'll say it now. Everybody, I still to this day, I believe that 14 million people heard you call overtime after Game 7 of the Vancouver series in 2004. To this day, everybody, last night at the Surge game, somebody was talking to me about it. Like, that thing put me on the map. I can never thank you enough, because you put me on the map with that one. But my favorite Craig Conroy story was earlier that year during the World Juniors. You remember it was Phaneuf and Marc-Andre Fleury Team Canada. They beat the U.S. in the round robin and then lost in the gold medal game. And after they beat the Americans, you were injured at that time, if I remember correctly. And I kind of came over to you sheepishly and said, well, what do you think? And you said to me, this is awesome. I said, what do you mean it's awesome? I was at the doctor's today and everybody was talking about the World Juniors. I love this. This is so cool. And I'm like, oh, that's who Craig Conroy is. You love hockey. You love being where hockey matters. You love being around people who love hockey. Like, this is the place for you, right?
Yeah. This is what as a little kid, this is all I ever wanted to do. And to be able to do it, like, it's a job and there's stress and pressure, but to go to the rink and, like, that's what I said. What's the most fun you've had so far as GM? I said, obviously the draft was probably the number one.
Yep.
The second thing was going to development camp.
Yeah.
And seeing the guys, seeing them on the ice, seeing them play, seeing them, talking to them after. Having Jerome there with me was a big bonus. To be able to do that, to be in the rink, in the end, what we're trying to do here is build a team that's going to hopefully win a Stanley Cup, because I wasn't able to do that as a player. So this is my only chance, but I want to, everyone's like, I want a timeline on everything. Everyone wants it. That's
absolutely. Oh, no. Yeah. Why is Lindholm? How come you haven't traded where, like, all due respect to the other show on this network. That
are they giving it to me? I didn't listen. So,
oh no, they love you.
Okay.
But they have some questions. Sure.
Yeah.
But, and I think, it's funny. Because I'm working with a basketball team, and the Surgers, we just want a home game. We just want a playoff home game. Like, when you're on the outside and you're a fan, you only have to worry about the fandom part. When you're on the inside, like, you're aware of ticketing, correct?
Oh, everything.
You're aware of sales. You're aware. You're aware. You're aware. These are all things that come into this. And what's the greatest part? It's going to the rink.
Yes. It always is.
Okay. Are we doing Let's Talk Hockey for prep this year?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
When, I don't know.
Okay, we'll work that out.
Who I don't know either.
Okay.
Oh,
This one?
Peter Hanlon is calling.
He is calling you?
He's probably
so. I'm surprised he's not calling me. This is a $1.54, which is probably a little long, but I appreciate it. You know, I'm your number one fan. Unfortunately, you can't come to this station for intelligent Craig Conroy talk because I just think the world of you. You've been amazing to this city. It's fun to have. To me, I got to live my dream. I got it. I got to do the play-by-play at the NHL level. I got to live my dream. You're now getting to live your dream. My only advice to you is live your dream. Mm-hmm. Have fun with it. Do the things you want to do.
Well, you know how I feel about you. I feel the same way. So thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No, we can do this anytime. Like I said, I thought this is what we were going to do. When you were a player, I thought you and I were just going to do shows together. I just assumed.
I actually thought I might be, when I retired, I thought that might be the way I was going to.
But you didn't want to though, right?
Well, again, it has always been the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. People have asked me if you won a Stanley Cup, would you have gone the other way? I don't know. I don't know. Like I keep thinking, I remember that day sitting in Ken King's office and Murray Edwards was on the phone, and just to still be a part of it, to be a part of a team, to be a part of something like that. That's all I've known pretty much my whole life. Even when you're a little kid, just playing with your, youth hockey, and you go through and then college. And
oh, by the way, congratulations. New York Hockey Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much.
First ballot.
I don't know about that. I don't know about first ballot, but you know what? It was funny because I got to go in with Dave Taylor because he played at Clarkson. All-time leading scorer, Clarkson.
Clarkson, you say. Somewhere Colin Patterson is smiling.
Colin Patterson is happy too. So to be able to go in with Dave, just a quick story, and
please,
I'll let you go.
No, it's me keeping you.
My grandmother, when Dave was going to Clarkson, my grandmother and grandfather had him over for dinner, and they had a little plaque put on the back of the seat that he sat in. Dave Taylor sat here. So when I was a little kid, like Thanksgiving, in the dining room, I would always make sure I sat in
You sat in Dave
Taylor's seat. And, thinking back all those years, and then he signed me in, LA.
Yeah.
And we became, and now we're good. I mean, not good friends, but we're good friends, And
well, you're good friends.
Yeah. When I see him at the rinks in LA, and I see him everywhere. And I'm thinking, going back from when I was a little kid, thinking, oh my God, Dave Taylor sat here. I'll probably never meet Dave Taylor. I'm watching him playing on the Triple Crown line. So that was a big deal for me.
Yep.
And then to go in with him was pretty special.
Was that Jack? Oh, right. Thanks, Jack. Jack reminds me. We did want to commemorate this. It's really nice of you. I mean, we're almost 2 hours in. You're such a great guy. We wanted to get you a gift.
Okay. You didn't have to give me a gift, Rob.
I know, but we wanted to. Please accept this from Jack and I. We think, if you show that, there you go. So thanks for coming in. Not everybody gets these.
It's the right color.
It is the right color. So we'll get some pictures and stuff like that. We don't have just the game shirts or hats or anything like that. No, I don't think we're ever getting them. But we do have Barn Burner hats, and so Jack and I wanted to give you a sweatshirt for coming in. So
next time I come back, you're gonna have just a game.
I doubt it. Well, I'll probably have to give you a different color of Barn Burner stuff
because this color will be hard.
Yes.
Dirt.
No, we couldn't. No. Well, we'd never do that to you. Of course, Craig joining us courtesy of Ski Cellar Snowboard, skicellarsnowboard.com, 76 years in Calgary. I'm going to end it there. You're the best. Thanks, pal.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Appreciate it.
See you guys on Monday. Don't have a freaking clue what we're going to do, but we'll do something.